Hello, Austin, Texas, and welcome to the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, where we bring real estate and money together for your education and hopefully a little bit of entertainment. This segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. If you want to reach out to us, the phone number is 855-299-HOME, or you can reach out to us at loansfromtroy.com. Today, I think one of the biggest misconceptions going on is the Fed fund rate. So luckily we're here. We have a superstar, Kyle Pfaffe. Thank you, Kyle, for showing up. We appreciate it very much. This is a big time right now. I think, the Fed fund rate is it's a base rate that all things are based off of, right? And so that is the strongest lever that the government has to slow down the economy or speed it up, because the cost to borrow funds affects everything, it's, traditionally you hear the prime rate, things like that. Those are names. It's the Fed fund rate. And there's, it, it does and it doesn't affect mortgages, right? So mortgages are, when the Fed fund rate is going up, mortgages are dragged up. But when it's coming down, mortgages they beat it to they get in front of it.
Kind of already factored in.
Yes. So, and how it happens is there's several members of the Fed, chair. Jerome Powell is currently the one that's in charge of it, and he does all the speaking and he does all the directions and things like that, and he kind of steers the committees to where he thinks it needs to go. But it is voted and things like that, so it's not one person. That's the biggest misconception, that it's one person. What happens is they don't like to surprise markets. So 2-3 weeks before the Fed cut or the Fed meeting, the presidents and regional boards and things like that go on speaking tours, and they start kind of giving you what they're thinking. And so it's literally, you can bet on it. It's actually a betting line in Vegas if you're interested. But there's a probability. So like currently the probability is 67%. The next time they meet, they will cut. But as we get closer, once that's over 85%, then they're cutting, right? And so the mortgage industry, what they do is they're like, hey, it's 67%. We're pretty sure they're going to cut. So they start lowering rates a little bit, right? At 87%, they lower to where it should be. And then when they cut, you're already there.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why people are like, I'm gonna wait till they cut. I'm like, well, the rates are already baked in right now. Today, we are already accounting for that cut. We're actually accounting for 2 cuts, right? The one that just happened, we were accounting for October and December. And so then after they come out, and then the president currently, his name is Jerome Powell, speaks. And this time, just like the last 2 times, he came out and was like, this might be it. We're not sure we're going to cut again. So the mortgage industry is like, wait a minute, we were expecting a cut in December. So immediately as he's speaking, mortgage rates went up, that day. And so a lot of people kind of missed the lowest rate. And I think that's what buyers misunderstand. When you're out there talking to buyers and sellers out there in the market, what are you hearing?
I think the biggest thing is that they look at these national news things and think that that's like the rate I'm going to get, like whatever the Fed rate is, the rate I'm going to get, or that the mortgage rates only change when the Fed cuts or raises rates. And whereas like I'm always telling my clients that if you're thinking at all about purchasing a home, then you need to talk to a lender as one of the very first steps to figure out not only like what can you get approved for, but like what does that payment look like, because you don't want to be house poor where you're paying too much. And so that's an important piece to it. But finding out, getting with the lender and talking with them about like, what does that payment look like? What are the rates doing? So that you can, hey, maybe get a low rate and you can lock that in or something like that. So I think there's some misconceptions with buyers. That's mainly just, they don't really know what the right thing to do is. They need to talk to a professional.
Yeah. And they do, unfortunately, get the national news, and
It's the most readily available.
Yes, in the national news, It's national, and so they're talking housing appreciation at 4%, while Austin was down 5%, that in '23, things like that. So it's very local, and mortgages are very local. The cost of funds, the cost of rates and things like that are local because Austin interest rates are cheaper than Dallas interest rates, things like that. It's very local, and I think people need to understand that. And sitting down talking about it, what we like to do is kind of like, hey, this is where we are today. Here's the probability of rates going down. If they go down this much, this is how much it's going to save you. And I'm telling you, 98 times out of 100, when I show them the difference of the rates lowering a quarter, they're like, oh, well, we might as well buy now. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the answer because it's, you know, there's this big conception that it's like a lot of money, a quarter percent, and it's, in a $400,000 house, 40 bucks, you know,
Yeah.
which, like I said, like we've talked about, if the houses are appreciating at 3.9, so 4%, median sales price, and what's that in Austin right now?
I think it was like a mid
Yeah,
500s.
so I mean that's $20,000 a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're appreciating, and that's the thing that people miss. And so you're gonna wait to save 500 a year, but you're gonna have to spend $20,000 to do it.
It's that cost avoiding that you always talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the rates really do go down, then there's a good chance that prices could go up because demand is going to go up. And then demand goes up, there goes all the leverage that buyers have right now.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head a moment ago whenever you talked about that first step, getting with the lender, getting pre-approved. Because, like you said, even if you're just thinking about it, knowing what you're pre-approved for 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months, however long ahead of time, it gives you the ability to already be approved. So you're not having to get approved whenever you're actually ready to go and the rates have already dropped. You're probably going to miss that good rate because we're getting you pre-approved. That's a process.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it's not just, yep, you're approved. Sometimes it is, but
I usually encourage my clients to start the process earlier than you think you should,
Mhm.
because if you find a great deal or if you get the rate that you really want and you can jump on something,
Mhm.
then you can take advantage of that versus waiting until, we have to move in 30 or 60 days. So, and it's almost too late. Then you're kind of left with what's available. And if you don't find something in the meantime, then just wait until you really target the time you want to move.
it's kind of like planning a vacation. You're not getting all your tickets. You're not booking hotels. You're not getting a rental car 10 days before you go most of the time. You're kind of doing it in advance, So
Oh, he vacations way different than I do. I'm like, let's go on vacation this weekend. No. It's so funny about that, but that is one thing that we can help with that, is we have this program that we call Drop It or Lock It to Drop It, right? So you can get pre-qualified, and while you're out looking for a house, if the rates hit where you want to be, we can lock you on your rate for 60 days. So yeah, you do have 60 days at that point, but you've also you've found the sweet spot of the
Locked in the
market.
bottom.
Yeah, we can lock you at that rate that you're excited, and then you can go out and lock. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lock it and shop it is what it is.
And that's another misconception a lot of buyers in our market have, is that all lenders are the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas I guarantee you a lot of lenders don't have the program like the one you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a lender, you kind of have to have those internal programs to compete. I mean, I feel like I'm biased, of course, but I think we have a lot of good programs within Security National. So getting pre-approved it's a good idea.
Oh yeah. And so if we have gotten someone's interest, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, so if they're interested in buying or selling, 512-636-9707 is the best way to reach me. tjlewisrealestate.com is our website.
Okay.
That's the best way for sure.
Now, do you do leasing if anyone's interested in leasing?
We do help with leasing clients as well. I mean,
Okay.
we like to, like you had said in one of our other segments, you like to be a client for life. And so really we're here to help our clients with whatever real estate questions or needs. We say we want to help them not just buy or sell or invest, but make smart real estate decisions across any type of real estate question, need, or issue. So
Excellent. And I think that's really important because there are a lot of times that people come to us and it's just not the right time. And so sometimes we need to, hey, we're going to need 6, 8 months to get you to where it's best for you. So, they need to go lease a home, and that happens as well. And right now, that's kind of, I think, what's holding people back in our market is because leasing is a little bit better, as far as monthly payment to than purchasing a house in the Austin area. But I just don't, I'm future Troy. I don't know if y'all know 2.5 Men, but future,
Yeah.
future Alan, future borrower, the equity that they build, the tax deductions that they receive, the community that they grow their children and family in, it's just so much better. There's so much data out there that owning a home as a family instead of renting, how much better it is for you and for your children and things like that. And so, but people are, monthly payments are very important right now. We totally understand that as well. As far as, when you're looking or when you're talking to someone and they tell you that, hey, I'm gonna wait for, till the spring, you know, s- if it's not the best idea, what would you say to
Well, I mean, the first thing I'm going to say when they say that, it'll tell me more about that. Like,
Mhm.
why are you thinking that?
Yeah.
Because I don't just, I mean, okay, I'm not trying to convince you of a bad decision
Yeah.
or convince you of a different decision. I want to know, like, what's your motivation? Like, tell me why you think that is. And then maybe I can give you some more information or advice about why that might be the right thing or the wrong thing. We don't know what's going to happen in the
Right.
spring.
Yeah, we don't.
We know that right now,
Mhm.
over these next few months, that inventory is high and demand is not very strong. So buyers right now have a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that you're going to have that come the spring. And the market over the last couple of years has been dropping a little bit, but pretty stable,
Mm.
pretty stable. And there's definitely an opportunity that you could get a good chance to buy right now or the next few months,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Like you said, leverage, closing costs, discounted sales price, move-in dates, move out, things like that. You can do a lot of those things today that you could not do before. I remember in 2020, 2021, VAs, you couldn't buy a home VA because the sellers just didn't want to mess with VA appraisals, and they're not that hard, but they are a little bit more. And,
The end date.
like, yeah, uh, you know, and so those sort of things, you can do now that you couldn't do then. And I just hope that everyone does their own research. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. But again, one last time, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you if they're looking to buy, sell,
Yeah.
or lease?
tjlewisrealestate.com is our website. You'll find me on there, but you can reach me directly at 512-636-9707,
And do you text?
whichever the most convenient is for my clients.
Perfect. Hey everyone, thank you for sticking around and watching our show about money. We hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at loansfromtroy.com, or you can give me a call at 855-299-HOME. And as always, this segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. The logo, it says "the," but it's your dream, not my dream. But hey, stick around, because over the next 90 seconds or so, we are going to feature local listings. It will have a QR code on it. On that QR code, if you log on, if you click that and you do finance with us for that property, the first year we will give you 1% off the interest rate. So basically, if your start rate is 6.25 for the first year, it would be 5.25%. That would be because you purchased that home through us. So that's at no cost to you. It'll also have the real estate agent's name, information, how to get a hold of them, if you have any questions about the property itself. And we thank you so much, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, where we bring real estate and money together for your education and entertainment. And of course, our special guest, Kyle Pfaffe. So, this segment, just is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. And if you have any questions about anything we say today, you can reach out to me at loansfromtroy.com. You can also look over there at our QR code, click that QR code at any time, and then I'll get you straight to us. And then we will reach back out and answer any questions that you may be interested in. First of all, Kyle, I wanted to thank you for all of the information on the real estate section that we went over. I hope that the people really learned something. I hope that, because this is all, it really is. I think that the national news is not really a good source for local real estate. And so that's why I think this is important to kind of get that information out. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's the national news is directionally accurate a lot of times, but like the nuances is so much different locally.
Yeah. I mean, even in, our reports, they're broken up in 4 sections. So they don't even, ours are the Southwest, basically New Mexico to Florida is kind of what comes for our general report. So, if the West Coast is exploding and the Southeast is not, then, you're getting conflicting and they just give you the measurements of the two. And one could overpower the other. So you're like, oh, it's a buyer's market and it's not, or it's a seller's market and it's not. So it's really good to get local
Yeah,
information.
the best news for local real estate is a local real estate expert. So
Yeah.
we do
Yeah.
appreciate you being.
Yep. And so in this section, obviously I always talk about money, and this one's a little bit more real estate decided money because, as the rates have fallen, people, the last few years were financially tough on a lot of people. I mean, at one point we had 9.9% inflation. I mean, and so, as though, people sometimes forget, even though inflation's down in the twos, that we did have that inflation didn't go away. It's and I think inflation is misunderstood. It's not, it's the rate of inflation. So it's always going up. It's just how much is it going up? So it went up, 10% one month. That 10% is still baked in every day. And so if it goes up 3%, this month, and it was 10% or 2 years ago, that 10% is still in there. So, when you bought your home, in 2019, 2020, or 2021, things like that, everything was fine. But as your housing, because we've had our tax increase, we've had more or homeowners insurance increase, your house payment's gone up a little bit, your monthly spending is now squeezing that discretionary income. Um, but what I hear, a lot of times when I talk to people, they're like, they really need to really need to do a cash out. But they're married to their interest rate. And don't get me wrong, being able to say, "Hey, I have an interest rate at, the 2s or the 3s is pretty nice." But that house payment is just one portion of your entire credit debt. You have, anything on credit is what we measure. Credit cards, houses, home or
Auto.
auto, furniture, engagement rings, all that's
It's paid in full.
little plug there. All those sort of things, they're counted in that. And so, that's part, and you are paying an interest on that. And so we actually have a program that if you give us all of your debt and you give us all the interest rates and the balance is owed, I can tell you what your blended interest rate is, between all of your debt. And right now, most people's blended interest rate is somewhere around 11%, including their 3% house. I mean, because you have credit cards are 23% right now. I guess they're 22 and 3/4 now that the Fed dropped the rate, but they're still 23%. Car loans are 7-8% now. Rings or things like that. Those are 12%. Stuff like that. And so I like I like to think in a family budget as in a whole budget. And so your other expenses and things like that, all of your credit expense into one. And if an example is, let's say your house payment's 2,500 and your rest of your stuff is 2,500. So you're spending $5,000 a month minimum because we only use the minimum. So your credit card may be $30, but you owe $6,000 on it, right? So you're spending $5,000. Well, if your house payment goes to 3,500 and your total expense comes away, then you've saved $1,500 a month. That can be discretionary income to give you back,
So relief. Yeah.
peace of mind. But also, and I've even shown some people too that, you take that 1,500 and you apply it towards your house, all of a sudden it's better than the current rate you had. But it all goes towards your house instead of it going towards your credit. Those are the things that I think people need to understand to make their best decision. Sometimes it is hard. I'm a very big believer in the Dave Ramsey concept. So I don't like debt at all. I hate personal debt. If cars, houses, other than that, everything else should be paid for and saved is my thought. But it's really hard. I mean, we talked about it in the last segment, social media, they hammer you, again,
Bye, bye, bye.
yeah, and so you have a hobby and they know it and they show you everything in the world of your hobby, and it's really hard to be that. And so, discipline and things like that. That's the only concern I ever have about doing a cash out, is that in 5 years from now they'll be in the same place they are today. And so, I always try to, to explain that, help them understand and things like that. Um, but I think it's really important, because if you are living truly month to month, like, you can't go grocery shopping until you get paid. If you're, truly month to month, this idea will help you a lot, because that there's just a stress that puts on you that you cannot truly be there, in my mind. This is just my opinion, but you can't truly be there for your family, because you're so focused on, making sure that they have food and electricity and lights and school clothes and, all of those sort of things. And it takes that, you don't get to enjoy that time, the sitting, because you're just sitting here and reading with your kid. You're thinking about, okay, so which bills due tomorrow, and
Absolutely.
and so by doing something like that, yes, you may lose the 3.5% interest rate, but gaining, that peace of mind with your family, I think, is super important.
I think that blended interest rate you talked about was so important. I get calls every single week from homeowners who are curious about refinance, whether it's cash out or maybe we should sell
Mhm.
and go transition to something else while we pay off some debt or things like that. And I think there's probably some hesitancy
Mm.
because the rates right now they hear in the news are not what they had in
Mhm.
2020.
Mhm.
And so they don't think that it's not probably not even realistic, or I don't even want to consider it.
Mhm.
But what you said is looking at the big picture,
Mhm.
it could make a lot of sense. And so like when I get those calls, I'm potentially meeting with them to figure out like what your home is worth, things like that. But then also, and then part of that is what your home is worth if you did a cash out
Mhm.
refi.
Yeah.
And so I always try to push them back to experts like you guys
Mhm.
to look at the full financial picture.
Yeah, and one of the things too, people don't take into consideration is Texas homestead laws, right? Because they're super strong now. They've deducted it a lot. So if you do sell your home and you buy a new one, your homestead starts at the new sales price. So that could increase your property taxes. So, it's not always the best idea. And again, everybody's situation is completely different. So please, again, talk to your professional, and things like that before you then. So I'm not that guy.
And anytime I get into a cash out refinance type of situation, it's I kind of talk to them about eliminating debt and keeping your assets,
Mhm.
because you're eliminating credit cards, auto payments, things like that. Those are debts. Those are liabilities. A mortgage payment, that is an asset. It's going to appreciate. Whenever you sell, you're more than likely going to profit on it. Like, it's kind of putting your money in the right places,
Mhm.
in my opinion. So that phrasing it that way is kind of the way
Yeah.
to go for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it is. And that's the thing, people, because the vehicles have that value.
Yeah.
They just never have the value that they started with,
Mhm.
right? So they are a depreciating asset. And so, buying a vehicle 2 years old instead of brand new is super important. Little things like that, because you still get the factory warranty. So if something's wrong with the vehicle and stuff like that. But those are the little things that help financially. This falls all, it's all in about, about that. But spending habits are very important, and again, like that. But not everybody, not everybody's in that situation. Rates are falling too now. You got to think, if you purchased in October of 22, the average interest rate was 8%. You know, I mean, that even hurts my heart. Today it's like 6.16 or something like that. So, my thought is hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be high fives, over the beginning of the year. I said end of the year, beginning of the year, it'll be high fives, is what it's tracking at, so, yeah, so rate, you can just refinance your home at that point. Anything over a full percent doing a rate and term is typically something to look at if your loan amount is, 300 or higher. Once you get 250,000 loan amount and down, it gets a little bit harder for a rate and term to make sense. Because you only save, $100 because the loan amount is so much smaller, so the interest disparity needs to be higher.
Are there any other specific situations you would say that you see commonly where you would say someone maybe shouldn't refinance?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I do see. For one, if you have any inclination that you're not gonna be in the home in 2 years, if you're dissatisfied with your job, you have a family member that's not doing well in another city that you may need to move to, or anything that says, "I'm for sure probably not gonna be here in 2 years, I wouldn't do it. Just because, in the state of Texas, if you have an escrow account, we have to roll in your escrows. Doing rate and term or doing any refinance really is best that mid-December through February is best because of the escrows. Because, your taxes are paid by mid-December from your servicer.
Okay.
So your escrow balance is we have to reestablish your escrow account. It's the smallest, right? Because in December, we just put 2 months taxes in there. In February or January, we put 3, February, we put 4. But, come, June or July, we're putting 11 months, and that's $7,000, depending on the house, $10,000.
So one of the best times to refinance is at the end of the year?
Yeah, late December all the way through February, and, after that, it just kinda gets that's for especially rate and term.
Sure.
Especially rate. Cash out, you're gonna get that escrow back, you're establishing that, so it's kinda you're getting cash, it's not as much cash out, but if you're just trying to save the most on your mortgage payment, mid-December through February is definitely the best times.
And something I just want to briefly touch on. I know we're running time. Once you eliminate that debt with a cash out refinance, don't redo it. Don't put more money on that card. Once it's paid off, put it away. Don't touch it.
That is my biggest fear. I always coach on that. I always coach my clients, "Hey, listen, we're doing this for you. Don't do it again. Don't do it again."
You can do the Dane Ramsey cut it up.
Yeah,
Yep,
cut it up,
exactly.
freeze it, all that stuff. Hey, everyone, you have been watching The Home Team with Troy and Colton, and of course, our special guest, Kyle Pfaffe. We hope you've learned something. If you have any questions about anything that was said today, you can reach out to me at 855-299-HOME or loansfromtroy.com. And Kyle, what's the best way to reach out to you?
At 512-636-9707.
Yeah, and if you're looking to buy, sell, or lease, this is your guy. This segment, again, has been brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes. You can reach out to us through our QR code right here. It's super easy. I think all the Gen Zs love that thing, so we're trying to figure it all out. But anything else, just let me know. Give me a call or shoot me a text or an email. And stay tuned because we're about to show some of what we call our featured listings. These are all local area homes. They will have a QR code on them. On that QR code, if you click through there and come to us and purchase that home or finance that home through us, then the first year your interest rate will be 1% lower at no cost to you. That will be part of us for purchasing through the show. The realtor's information will be on there as well. You can reach out to them to ask them any questions about the house. And we hope, again, like I said, we hope that you have enjoyed and you've learned anything or learned something. And if you have any questions, please feel to reach out to me. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.